On Breakfast with Vossy and Brandy, the back page with David Riccio. When automation is key to your business's success, trust Conveyor Logistics for your warehouse automation solutions.
David, apologies for that.
Yeah, sorry.
Good morning, dribblers.
We forgot where we were.
Yeah. Well, look, I think that women's sports story is big.
Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday.
Well, I'm going to put you right on that. So the NRLW, a long way from parity, quite obviously, but that's got to be the target of all sport. I mean, that's where we're going to land somewhere in the next, I don't know, how long is it going to take? But the NRLW will reach a point where NRLW and NRL will get the same coin. It's inevitable. Well, it's happened now in cricket. They've reached that point.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen it in other surfing as well. There's pay parity as well. It is inevitable. It's just when. How do you know? And it's a case of, increased sponsorship, broadcast rights, rise in participation, which is just year on year, absolutely year on year. But it'll get there for sure.
Yeah. So it's been a bit of an Eels focus off the back of Jason Ryles doing an extended interview about his plans for the Eels. What are your thoughts on Clint Gutherson?
Well, there was a fair bit of negativity around the fact that Eels fans hadn't heard from Jason Ryles, guys, over the past little period, ever since he was appointed, with several rounds remaining in the season. And I think it really was just out of respect for the Eels completing their season this year, and Trent Barrett, just doing his job before Ryles stepped up and spoke. And certainly he's created some waves. And I've got to say, guys, this whole Clint Gutherson discussion about moving him from fullback, I say good on Jason. And I'm not saying that in any derogatory term towards Clint. What I'm saying is here's a coach that is willing to come in and coach his own way with already a vision and a desire to change things up at Parramatta. Now, every Eels fan, you can debate whether Clint should be moved or not, but surely you can't be negative to the fact that a rookie coach has gone, well, I'm coming in and we're going to do things different. Because if you want to keep doing the same thing, Eels fans, you're going to get the same results. And I really like the courage and the conviction in Jason's voice, of which would be, you got to peel yourself back. It's probably one of the biggest decisions, aside from Mitch Moses, an Eels coach can make, is moving the inspirational fullback, Clint Gutherson. And Jason, day one, sat down with Clint and said, mate, this is what I'm thinking. Are you on board? Now, to Gutho's credit, all we're hearing at this point in time is that he is on board. So, look, we can only take it on face value, but I will say this. I actually love it. I really do, that he's come in and I'm going to shake things up.
Okay, a claim on the text here. Where is the Gutho conversation? Saying that it's been removed. Yeah, there's a little theory. So, hang on, the Gutherson line, the lines from Ryles about Gutherson, is it not part of the 26 minutes that's out there now on social?
I don't think it is.
And the journo's got it. So, hang on, that's a bit confusing. That's a bit confusing. So you're saying he said that to the Telegraph, people like Michael Carianis, externally to the piece?
Yeah, so
was it in there originally and taken out? How did that work?
Yeah, look, so there were separate interviews, guys. So there was a website, there was a Jason Ryles with the Parramatta Eels media team interview for the website of Parramatta, which was conducted prior to a sit-down interview with Brent Reid from the Telly. And certainly in today's Telegraph, there are quotes from Jason Ryles. I can read them. I spoke to Clint first and said, this is the plan and this is what I'm thinking. I couldn't have, and Jason said I could not have got more buy-in from Clint. So they're all there in the Telly. Whether it's been changed, that's interesting.
Yeah, I find that I'd like to, I'm not a Parramatta fan. I mean, I hope they do well, and I'm a Gutho fan, certainly. But it seems odd that that's not part of, that's a really important issue to the Parramatta fans, I would think, the role of their co-captain, and that's not on the part of the interview that's now out there. That's weird. I find that weird. I don't know why that would be. Got no reason.
Look, at the end of the day, guys, and for all the positive opinion around the decision that I have, time will tell, won't it? Time will tell. If Clint still has an ambition to play fullback, and we're getting to,
he'll
through
get
the
offers,
pre-season,
he will get offers November 1.
Absolutely, Brandy.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And do you know
Brandy.
who from? Do you know which? Have you heard about any clubs
Well,
ready to offer
look,
Gutho a contract?
Look, not firm offers, Brandy. Certainly not firm offers. But what we do know is that St George Illawarra had already been mooted as a potential suitor for Clint some 2 months ago. When there was discussion, remembering the discussion about a potential Zach Lomax swap, and trying to prize a player out of Parramatta due to the fact that Zach was going there, Clint's name came up at that time. Now, there's always conjecture about Tyrell Sloan's future at St George Illawarra and whether he's their long-term fullback. He certainly needs a monster pre-season, I can tell you that. And does Shane Flanagan need some experience within that Dragon side? Yes, he does. Whether they'd be willing,
especially if Ben Hunt's not there.
Whether the Dragons be willing to go to, upwards of 500,000, 600,000, 700,000, to be fair, to get Clint Gutherson at the age of 30 remains to be seen. But as I said, it all depends how the pre-season goes for Clint, doesn't it?
There's a lot of people here. Jason has moved Gutho to the flapper role, full-time position to flap those arms. On the text, another one. The Parramatta Bomber wants to know, what are the chances of Ryan Papenhuyzen landing at Parramatta anytime soon? Dundas Jr., he points out. Could that happen? Could Ryan Papenhuyzen, Suafalongo, I suppose, is there ready to be the long-term fullback for Melbourne? Could Ryan Papenhuyzen follow a Melbourne man and Jason Ryles to the Eels? Could that happen?
It's a good question, and it's a really interesting. This is going to be a really interesting decision down in Melbourne, and certainly from my discussions with the Storm only about a week ago, they were swimming as far as negotiations are concerned to extend Ryan Papenhuyzen. However, the catch is they do it at a risk of losing Suafalongo, despite the fact that they believe that they will also be able to retain Failongo as well, the Melbourne Storm. But it is a juggling act, right? And the catch to Papenhuyzen leaving the Storm will be whether the buying club will be willing to invest significant money. And I'm up around 850,000 for Paps. And given the fact that we know how brilliant he is, but also to the long list of injury issues that he has had more recently. So it would be in some clubs' eyes, it'd be seen as a gamble. But for a Parramatta club, do they go there? I say no on the basis that they've bought Isaiah Iongi from Penrith, and Jason Ryles has made it clear that the whole point of moving Gutherson is because they believe in Iongi from Penrith.
What about a couple of other names that Vossy threw up? Kobe Hetherington, one of those. Any chance of getting to the Eels? I know there was a couple of others. Who else did you mention, Andrew?
Jaden Brayley, Tom Weaver from the Titans. They were the names yesterday. A texter sent through these saying strong male, David, strong male. Yeah. Jaden Brayley, Kobe Hetherington, Tom Weaver.
Yeah. I can tell you all three are on the Eels' radar, and it has been a case of just waiting to clean some salary cap space up, and I'm talking specifically about Regan Campbell-Gillard. Now, those names that have been mentioned, they've been around and connected to the Eels for a number of weeks now, but as I said, they couldn't make any moves until they knew what was going on with RCG. And now that's happened, I expect this will heat up. Certainly Jaden Brayley is one player of absolute interest from the Eels' point of view. Both from not only what he can bring on the football field, but his character. He's a leader. And when you are a rookie coach, you need those players to get going and set standards and to buy in and show the other players how it's done under the new coach. And Jaden Brayley's certainly that character. Tom Weaver's an interesting one. Certainly he's been mentioned and he is on the Eels' radar. And that comes as a byproduct of being, a backup half, and with the departure of Ethan Sanders down to the Raiders. So absolutely Weaver. And as I said, I think we'll see a little bit of movement around the Eels now that they know where their cap situation is at following the departure of RCG.
Victor Radley and Jesse Ramian, really the only two question marks. They're both being named in the reserves for their respective teams. Otherwise, no shocks with the announcement yesterday when teams came out, but Radley and Ramian both would be sweating, both Roosters and Sharks, sweating on their availability.
Guys, I've got to say, I thought the Victor Radley named in the squad, it caught me by surprise. I'll admit that, only because of discussions I'd had with Roosters officials and players last Saturday post their loss against Penrith. And the prospect of Victor Radley playing this weekend, it seemed absolutely forlorn. Now, it may be a Hail Mary play, throw at the stumps, see how Victor can get through this week to see if he can get on the field, knowing that, guys, this is it. This is it. This is your season. So there might be a bit of risk-taking to find that victory to keep the season alive from the Roosters' perspective with Victor Radley. But as I said, it surprised me to the point where I asked questions about whether Victor would be available for the grand final. And at that point last weekend, it was long odds. So, look, as I said, things may have changed. He could have a promising week and they strap him up and get him out there. As for Jesse Ramian, really important training session today, guys. It was an ankle problem. He missed that Melbourne Storm clash, and I've got to say, he's a significant loss for the Sharks when he wasn't out there.
Is that a good
important
season?
For their back five. Yep, big season. So important for their back five. As I said, important fitness test for Jesse Ramian today. And he's been named in jumper 22, guys, in the team list. He's in the extended reserves. I would say it's about 50-50 at this point in time. There is some optimism, again, on the basis of getting him out there, knowing that this is it. You've got 80 minutes to save your season as far as Cronulla is concerned.
David Riccio from The Telegraph with all the rugby league news. Now, I'll combine a whole bunch of texts here because they're all to do with front rowers, David. So, fast money. Daniel Saifiti, done deal at Dolphins or just about? Would that be right?
This is a funny one, guys. Honestly, it's changing every second day. 2 weeks ago, it's a done deal. 1 week later, it's negotiations of hit hurdles. Last week, again, it picks up and it's a done deal. And then only as recently as yesterday, there was a sticking point with the negotiation. So it's an interesting one, guys. I'm not saying it's over the line just yet.
Okay,
You've got other clubs suddenly picking up the tea leaves that it's not over the line yet.
Oh,
so,
I love rugby league. League. Regan Campbell-Gillard, questions here. Has that been done anywhere? Where's he going?
Still no home. No home for RCG.
Not Parramatta. And Jason Ryles does address that in that 26 minutes. If you want to go through, he does talk about the RCG situation. His quote was doing what's best for Regan Campbell-Gillard. He's free to go. That was part of the thinking there. Matt Lodge here. One saying, is he on the radar of Flano? That's from Meatball. Anything to do with Matt Lodge? Newcastle have been mentioned for
Meatball. Yeah, Meatball. I wouldn't disregard that at all. And given the way Matt Lodge has been performing over the last month of footy, certainly last weekend, I think he would be definitely on the Dragons' radar. And I say that also. I just say that also, guys, on the basis of he's not expensive. He's not going to take up a huge chunk of your salary cap and what he can bring for you on the field, in and around 250,000. I think he has appeal.
Why is he not staying at Manly if he's that cheap?
Yeah, well, I don't think Manly have closed the door on it, Brandy. I don't think Manly have closed the door on Matt Lodge. I just think that there could be an opportunity at Saints.
He's been very good for them since he's been back over the last month. Very good.
Yeah.
So two of their starting pack potentially could be gone because Carl Lawton signed with the Cowboys way earlier this season.
Yeah.
He's now in he's a starting back rower at Manly, and Matt Lodge there, and he's not signed up. So there we go. All very good
David,
stuff.
can I just before we go, David, how does it work when there's two journalists on the same story? So Carianis and Reid boxing on and writing the story. Do you write with anyone, and how would it work if you did? Or are you just a solo man?
Well, we sit down at the keyboard, and one journo has his left hand. One journalist has his left hand on the keyboard, and the other journalist has his right hand on the keyboard. No, I'm joking.
50% share. Yep.
Yeah, it's contribution, Brandy, as far as that story appearing in the paper, being published, how it was collaborated, as far as speaking to different contacts, relationships, gaining quotes.
Who gets their name first? It's Brent Reid and Mock Carianis, or Mock Carianis and Brent Reid. Like, who gets to... Is there any fighting over that? Who gets the first mention?
Yeah. Typically the person that actually formally submits and writes the story, once everything is collated, gets their name first.
Okay. Who do you work with?
Sounds prickly to me. Sounds like a real
I'm a team. Hey, Brandy.
I'm
a team player. I'm a team player.
Team first, man. Good on you, David.
Hey, thank you, boys. Go well.